What's going on, everybody? It's David Palmer, the Leo King, and this is my show, Uncut Astrology, where I take off the mask or the veil and I give you this week's astrological report, raw and real, for the week of February 3rd through the 9th of 2016. And it gets no more uncut than this. I'm doing this week's show from my new place. I moved. It's been all over the place, and I think that we've all been all over the place. Mercury has been in the middle of a crazy storm for the last 2.5 weeks as it's been conjuncting Pluto, squaring Uranus in the middle of a direct retrograde motion. It's just like, wow, busy bee, right? Mercury represents busyness. It represents the third house, and the third house and Mercury really deal with, things always having to do this, and then you got to double check that, and then you got to go over here and do this. And in Capricorn, it's frustrating because Pluto's there, which makes this super intense, and it's about getting things done. And so there's been this aspect of like having to get so much done, always something to do, always something to accomplish, always something to reach for. And it's really been tapping into our wants, our needs with Uranus over there in Aries. So there's been this like revolution of reinventing who we are to reach the heavens, because Uranus is the planet that's about reaching heaven. And there's this part of ourself refining courage to find that heaven in our life. And I think that we have really seen the changes to the structure of our life. We have really seen the changes that we need to make, and maybe some sort of rule sets that we've changed. And we have now, this week, officially got Mercury out of here. So let's switch gears, because this week, Venus enters into this space. And Venus is way different than Mercury. Venus deals with our relationships, our projects. It deals with our self-worth inside. And I think now that we've stepped into this new place, the universe has kind of buzzed us around in a lot of craziness. And the good news is Venus is not stopping in this space. It's going to be really quick. We're now going to take into consideration a whole new upgrade when it comes to our value, a whole new upgrade when it comes to relationships and how we deal with them. And this is in Capricorn, and this is where Pluto is. And this is going to be an intense aspect. The obsessions, the wants, the needs that we have in relationships, but is it really on point with where we're going in our life? And this is the sun in Aquarius. Do you know how to disconnect and connect when it's right, when all the dots connect? It's like making sure that we know this. Remember, this is the sun in Aquarius. This is a time of revolution and really starting to upgrade your life and see if it's connecting. And this is also the time where we figure things out. And the fact that, we've had a crazy Mercury retrograde direct motion that happened in the last couple of weeks, and the fact that now the sun's in Aquarius, this has been an intense time of really powerful things coming our way and having to figure out really complex solutions that are to our problems in our life. And this is going to highlight now if we're feeling that we have a new sense of worth, that we know how to handle our life differently. Maybe we're going to actually start to realize that we're better than we think we are in a positive way. And I think that this is also going to really take kind of the chopping block or the creation station for relationships now, of like being like, these ones are in and these ones are out, and these ones really go with all this new stuff that's happened in my life. Now, it's a more magical week because the sun is sextiling Saturn and Uranus this week. So the sun is going to be in great harmony with Saturn. This is in Sagittarius, the sun in Aquarius. This is a lot of structure and a lot of building happening in our life right now. With Uranus on the other end of this is us figuring out exciting things, revolutions, exciting news coming our way. The only weird aspect that's really happening through all this is a new moon in Aquarius, which is going to square Mars in Scorpio. Which means with all these building blocks that are happening right now in our life, with all these big decisions that are really starting to come together, with all this revolution and this freedom and this sense of reaching higher in our life now, or ascending higher. One thing about Uranus, though, is if you're not ascending to heaven, I always say God sends Uranus when you need to get your ass kicked, because Uranus gets you to heaven no matter what it has to do. No matter what, it gets you to heaven no matter what. So sometimes it'll do it in crazy and unpredictable ways. But I think that we're all really realizing that we're ascending to a higher and a better plane in our life this week that's stable. There's security there. We got nothing to really fret about. And it's this action that we have to look deep in ourselves with. Are we ready to to really go for it, you know? This is a big, powerful new moon in Aquarius that's ready to connect to lots of dots, but it can't connect there if you're not passionate about it, if you're not all the way invested into it, if you're not ready to pull your deep reserve energy. A Mars square to the Sun in Aquarius or to Leo energy, one of those two, is always going to be if you have the deep reserve to give this exciting electricity and power to. And if you don't feel like you're ready to empty the tanks and use whatever's left. I don't know if you remember on Mercedes, and I don't know if they still have it. I haven't driven one for a while, but they always had the reserve tank, you know, ooh, it's on, you know, you get to R and then the light turns on. If you're not ready to like still keep driving without reaching for the gas and doing whatever you can to get there and hoping you make it, that's the place you know to go with a new moon in Aquarius square Mars in Scorpio. But if you're getting to empty and you're like, I am not gonna ride reserve, I gotta get to the gas station right now, I don't want to drive there and try and make it, that's how you know this is not what to connect to in your life. And with a week with a new moon and Venus and a dark, actually, let's be honest, on Friday, it's a dark moon. The moon's gonna be in Capricorn. We're gonna have Venus and Pluto, all three conjuncting, squaring Uranus. This is going to be by this Friday, a huge monumental moment as the dark moon is kind of showing up and showing the baggage and the deeper inner wants and needs and all these dark kind of greedy things that we want to reach for, but do we have the ambition truly of our deep reserves to get there or not? Is this really what we really want or not? And this is a powerful week because it will give you what you need. There is a magical energy coming in. Whenever you see the sun come into a position like this and look at a trine, which really we're having a minor trine between Saturn and Uranus right now, magic starts to happen. And with the fact that this is one of the last weeks of Mars without being in shadow in its strength of Scorpio, I said last week, and I'll say it this week again, this is where the magic is happening in your life of creating things and building things. And I said this the other night to somebody. I said, whatever happens in the next 2 weeks, from February 1st to February 14th, and then after that, but really it's these next 2 weeks, this is what your 2016 is. This is what it's about. This is what is being manifested. This is what you're going to be working on. These are the lessons. These are the relationships. These are the characters that, and the stakes that you are playing for in your life now. Interesting enough, Mercury and Venus, both our mind, our values, relationships, and news of things come into great aspects with Chiron this week in Pisces, which Chiron also moves to 19 degrees. So we're seeing Chiron finally move really good again. And there's an aspect where I think that there's a lot about being vulnerable. Expressing your vulnerability to others will not hurt you in manifesting or achieving or going where you need to go. There's a sense of the vulnerability helping us get what we actually want. There's a sense that if we know how to communicate our vulnerability and we know how to feel into our vulnerability, there's a beautiful aspect to it. This is also a week where Mercury and Venus will start, but Mercury officially will trine Jupiter and the North Node once more, which shows that this is a powerful week of news. Big news coming, big things to look at, big options to look at, but the square of Mars to the Sun means, wow, multiple roads, big options, but which one do I really want? I think by Saturday and Sunday, when we are coming really truly into this powerful new moon in Aquarius, which is all about electricity and light and bringing the connection to the universe that you want. It's all about whether or not you have the deep reserve or not to go for it truly, if you have the passion, the drive, if you want to have sex with it or not. I mean, that's what it is at the end of the day. Do you want to screw this or not? Kind of funny too that Venus is on Pluto. This is going to bring up deep sexual needs, deep sexual wants and relationships, somewhat of an obsession too, maybe with a partnership. And this could also bring up just really showing you, you know, are you ready to make the changes in your identity, in your life to get what you really want? And do you have the deep reserve? We all have to step into change. We all have to step into a different motion, but this is a magical week I don't want to call it the most magical week of the year, but it's almost like one of those weeks where silently it might just be. It might just be one of those weeks of 2016 that shows you that everything that came right before it, the week before it that we just had, and the week that this finishes out was the most powerful 2 weeks to start off your 2016 ever, and might just be the most powerful 2 weeks of the year of showing you and where the momentum was, where you were going, because we're not going to see Mars at full strength and capacity in Scorpio again for another couple years. Because when Mars comes out of, it's going to be, I think, like over 2 years, because if you think about the way that it's got to still go through the retrograde, it takes like 8 months for that whole process. So if you actually think about this, we are not going to see Mars in its full strength until Aries. But there's something about Mars and Scorpio that brings magic to our lives, about what we really want and need deep inside, where Mars and Aries brings out more of the, I want a Coke, I want a Pepsi, or I want, a blonde or a brunette, it's like kind of more basic. There's a deeper inner magical want and need in all of our lives now, mixing with all this Capricorn, as Mars is sextiling Pluto this week as well, and Mars is sextiling all this Pluto moon stuff. It's pushing for a magical want and need, and a time in our lives where this is what is pushing into our 2016 this week. So picking our relationships is important, picking our projects, sticking with the ones that we want and letting go of the ones that we don't, and really learning to look at the long term and what's gonna ride us to heaven or not. Friday, do not make any major decisions, especially even maybe into Saturday, because it's the dark moon. Wait till Sunday. Don't jump the gun Friday, Saturday with this dark moon, especially on Pluto. There's going to be a need to just figure something out now. Go run to Vegas and get married, and I would recommend that you don't. Join me on my apps on the Apple and the Android store. If you want to get these videos every day, I do a daily video horoscope, I do a 12-sign one, and I also do tarot videos, and I do so much on there, and of course the daily notifications on your phone, right? I do the text messages too, all for $5.99 a month. We're killing it. We're in the top 20 grossing apps right now for iTunes, so I'm so happy for that, and I want to say thank you so much for all the support. I truly appreciate it. I hope that these horoscopes have been helping you, and please, please, please help share these horoscopes. I actually never really asked for that. If there's one thing I could ask for this year, is I want to explode this kind of astrology to people, because I've been hearing for all the readings from everybody getting a reading from me lately that I do astrology in a way that they've never heard, and in a much more channeled, much more evolutionary way, and I just really want this message to get out there. So if you please subscribe on my YouTube, please join me on my Facebook, my Twitter, my Instagram, where I do a lot of different kind of posts. It's really exciting. I also have one kind of side news I want to bring up. I am working on a book right now, and you guys are going to love it. It's going to blow everybody's mind in the astrology world. I just officially started it. More news will come out for that over the next couple months or so. But I just wanted to let you guys know that I'm working on a book and writing a book right now about astrology like you've never seen it before. And what else? There's so much going on right now, but you know what? I thank you. I am in so much gratitude to you. I appreciate you. And I want to let you know that I'm here, that I got your back. I know you got my back. And you know what? Let this be one of the most magical weeks of your life this week. I guarantee that you'll see these next 2 weeks really defining your whole year. Thank you so much. I truly appreciate it. I will see you on the next Uncut.